A few friends and I messed around with an Ouija board a lot as teenagers. It had always been harmless fun. One night we were speaking with a young boy called Niall, who had told us that he had been murdered by his father. We spoke with him for a while, then got bored of the conversation, left, and eventually tried again. We started to speak with someone that we had assumed was an old lady, when actually it turned out to be Niall again. Someone must have asked, "What do you want?" because the Ouija pointer spelled out, "Satisfy my request," and then continuously spelled answers over and over again until we freaked out and just abandoned everything. The board, the house, the street. I had never touched an Ouija board since. Early last year, a few of us got together again, and we brought up that night, and everyone swore again that they hadn't moved anything on purpose that night. Of course, someone could be lying, or we could have inadvertently been moving the pointer without realizing. But just remembering the force of the pointer moving again, so rapidly, and what it spelled out, just freaked me out enough not to want to mess with it again, just in case. One summer in the early 80s, Anthony Hall, who was 25, and his girlfriend, Bunny Dixon, who was 16, hatched a bizarre plan to gain money that they needed to run away across state lines. Telling two friends that an Ouija board had put them in touch with a spirit named David, they convinced them of their dark designs: murder. Little 10-year-old David advised upon cold-blooded murder, apparently a fact that would cost 25-year-old Nick Van Dang his life. Hall, Dixon, and their friends tricked him into giving them a ride before binding him and leading him to an area of woodland where they shot him in the head 11 times. They gained $111. All four received lengthy prison sentences for their crimes, but perhaps somewhere, David is out there, laughing. In the winter of 1933, Dorothea Turley and her 15-year-old daughter, Maddie, played with an Ouija board. A spirit contacted them, or at least this is what they believed, telling them to kill Dorothea's husband, telling her daughter that the board could not be denied. Dorothea persuaded her child to shoot her own father. He died of his injuries after a long hospital stay, meaning that Dorothea was charged with assault and intent to murder. Young Maddie confessed and was sent to a reform school until the age of 18. The rest of the case and details are lost to posterity, so we will never know what really occurred on that dark night that ended in tragedy. Gary Gilmore was the kind of man only a mother could love. Sentenced to death for the murder of 2 men, he awaited execution. But was there a paranormal twist to his story? His mother, Bessie, always maintained that she had made contact with a demon through an Ouija board in her childhood, a demonic spirit that had suckered into her family. Bessie's brood certainly had freakishly bad luck. One sister was tragically paralyzed, another killed. Her mother-in-law, Faye, held a seance, sending herself into a frenzy. Bessie awoke to feel an unknown presence touching her, an otherworldly thing lying next to her. At that moment, Faye glided into her room and simply screamed, "It knows who you are." Gary, then a small child, reported terrible nightmares after this incident. Bessie firmly believed that the demon had possessed her son, causing a streak of violence in adulthood. I have a terrifying story about an Ouija board. I got a call from my cousin who said that he, his brother, his dad, and his best friend were using an Ouija board in their basement. Prior to starting, they took a large porcelain doll out of the room because it was creepy. My cousin took a short break because the board was just spouting out nonsense. His dad and brother and friends started asking the board questions without him. One of the questions was, who is in the other room? It just started spouting out random numbers, and when my cousin came back into the room, his brother said it wasn't working, that they were going to put it away, and he showed him the answer to the last question. He asked, and he said, "Dude, that's my social security number." Then they started to talk to whatever started spewing out answers. It told my cousin that he would die in the Air Force. At this point, they tell the entity that they are communicating with to prove itself. Then it spelled out the word doll. They opened the door to check on the porcelain doll that they had laid in the other room, and when they opened the door, the doll was standing up right in front of the door, staring right at them. Everyone freaked out and ran out of the house. His best friend burned the Ouija board, and I think he temporarily went nuts for a few months. My cousin, for some reason, then joined the Air Force, and he's now on a base in Europe.